You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 324. What your ex hated about you might be the reason your next relationship works. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. How are you doing today? We are talking about something that I think is going to blow your mind and give you so much hope for what's possible after your breakup because it honestly blew my mind. I want you to start today's episode out with just taking a moment to think about the thing that used to start fights with your ex. The thing maybe that you'd argue about like over and over. The thing that made you feel like you were not enough or too much. Okay, the thing that made you wonder if maybe you needed to change who you were fundamentally. Okay, think about that for a second. Awesome. I hope you have it. Hold on to that because what I'm about to talk to you about blew my mind recently thinking about. So that exact thing that you have in your mind is probably what you're going to bond over with the person who's actually meant for you. What? So wild. Here's why, okay? So when I was intentionally choosing my husband, and yes, I was very much intentionally like thinking about what I wanted to pick in a husband. I was super intentional about it. I had a list of things that really mattered to me and things that I had like ultimately learned from all about in my past relationships, especially the rock bottom relationship that all of you know about. And one of the biggest things on that list happened to be the beach. This guy was going to have to like love the beach, truthfully, because the beach was always a point of contention with almost all of my exes, every single one of them. I don't know how I continuously attracted so many people who hate the beach. I always wanted to spend all of our vacations on the beach. I wanted to live close to the beach or on the beach. I wanted to move where I used to vacation. And I was very specific about what beach I like, okay? I was kind of a beach snob. I still am. But I literally wanted to build my life around the proximity of the ocean. And every single ex, they either kind of like tolerated it or we'd have these ongoing like tensions around it or about it, or they would act like I was being unreasonable for like wanting what I wanted. And I'd often find myself kind of like defending my love for the beach and justifying why we should spend money and time on like beach vacations. And I would feel guilty for dragging them somewhere they didn't really want to be. And I would be like begging. Like I remember moments of like begging them to hang out with me on the beach. And I would like compromise myself. I'd have to continuously compromise. Like if I got them to come on the beach, then they'd be like, well, you have to do this. And so it was just a constant compromise. And it was exhausting. I even remember literally making PowerPoint presentations to like sell them on why we needed to move closer to the beach. And I was just constantly met with like, no, and reason after reason as to why they would move anywhere except for the beach that I wanted to be next to. And here is what I want you to notice. In that experience for me, I was very much making myself smaller. I was apologizing a lot for wanting what I wanted. I was treating my personal desires like they were problems to be managed rather than preferences to be honored. And so when I went through the last breakup that I had before I met my husband, I went through that breakup and immediately was like, I've got to move to where I used to vacation. I've got to move there and just be there because that's where I want to be, which by the way, was something I did because of my breakup as well. Like I was like, I'm ready to settle down. I've got to settle down. I want to be like, I need to place myself where I want to be. And that person who wants to be there is probably also already living there. It's like so obvious when you look at it backwards, right? But I was like, I'm going to find my husband. I'm ready to be married. I'm ready to be with someone who's like, yeah, boo, I want to marry you up. I want to live in the same place you want to live. And I want to have a baby. I was just like ready for that. And so it was very important, obviously, at that point to find someone who does truly want the beach, obviously, who also wanted marriage and a kid. But we're going to use the beach as an example today because it seems almost like frivolous or like minute, but it was so important to me. And it was a non-negotiable. It was not up for debate. It was not something I was willing to compromise on anymore. And you know what happened? The craziest thing happened. I found a man who loves the beach so much that he's there 40 hours a week. His office literally overlooks the most stunning ocean beach view. And he gets to work there, like looking at the beach and being on the beach for 40 hours every single week. What? And the funny part, this is such a side note, but postpartum, I've had these moments where I'm like, wait a second. You get to go to my favorite place, the beach, for 40 hours a week? And he's like, yeah, boo, you can't get mad at me for having created a life that I love. And I'm like, you're so right. But what's actually the most beautiful part about all of this is that my husband loves the beach so much, and that even though he works there 40 hours a week, he still finds time and makes it a priority to get my booty to the beach, which I very much love and appreciate and I'm like so grateful for. Because a lot of people don't like what they do and would be like, I don't want to go to the beach when I work there. And that is not the experience we have. So he doesn't see it as a chore. He doesn't act like I'm being high maintenance. He doesn't make me feel guilty for wanting to go. And he's literally excited about it too. And what's so fascinating about that is what used to start arguments for me is now what actually brings my significant other and I closer together. Like we connect over it and we bond over it. So it's like the thing that made me feel like I was too much with past partners is actually the exact thing that makes my husband like light up. And what caused tension in old relationships is what creates connection in this one. And we don't even have to discuss it. There's like no negotiation. There's no PowerPoint presentation. There's no convincing. There's no compromising where one person like feels resentful. It's just like, duh, do you want to go to the beach? Yeah, obviously. And it's such a different vibe when you're with someone who actually is aligned with what matters to you. And now I want you to think about the thing that I had you think about at the beginning. What was your thing that was causing arguments? What was the thing that used to start arguments with your ex? And maybe it was how you spend money, how you make decisions, how you spend your free time, how you communicate, your ambition level, your desire for adventure, how you handle conflict, your relationship with your family, your career priorities. I don't know. Whatever it was, I want you to notice something. You probably started to believe that your way was the problem or your thing was the problem, that you needed to like tone it down, be less of something, want less, need less, expect less. And you probably found yourself apologizing for who you are fundamentally and making yourself smaller to like avoid a fight. Another fight, right? But what I want you to know is that that thing that caused arguments isn't actually a problem. And you might not actually be the problem. Like you weren't the problem. You were just with someone who wasn't meant for you, who didn't like the same things that you liked. And somewhere out there, there is someone who doesn't just like tolerate that thing about you, but they love that thing about you. They're not just in agreement with your side of the argument, but they're so aligned with it and with you that there is no argument. And what used to be a source of tension might become a point of connection. And what used to make you feel like you were too much makes them think you're exactly enough. And what used to start fights now maybe starts dates and adventures and inside jokes and shared dreams. Like how cool. I want you to think about it. Like think about if you love traveling and your ex made you feel guilty every time you wanted to book a trip. Imagine being with someone who's already like researching the flights before you even finish suggesting the destination. And if you're an ambitious person and your ex made you feel like you cared too much about your career, imagine being with someone who's like asking you about your goals and genuinely like celebrating your wins. Or if you love deep conversations and your ex kind of like used to shut you down every time you like tried to go deep, imagine being with someone who's like lit the fuck up when you start asking the big, deep questions. And that's what's possible. That's what you're moving toward. And your ex making you feel like your preferences were problems doesn't mean that they were problems. It means that you were just incompatible. Okay, so you're not asking too much. You're asking for what you actually want, and that's not only okay, but it is necessary. And I feel like I need to speak to this. I'm going to take a moment to speak to this. If you are worried that you're never going to find that person, I really want to suggest to you that even if you don't find that person like tomorrow or next month or next year, would you rather spend your time with someone who makes you feel like you're too much? Or would you rather spend your time becoming the fullest version and expression of yourself and trusting that that right person will love you exactly as that? Because the right person doesn't make you smaller. They make space for all of you. And they don't see your preferences as problems, but they see them as you. And they love that about you. So I want you to stop apologizing for who you are. I want you to stop making yourself smaller to avoid conflict. I want you to stop treating your desires as preferences. And I want you to start really getting clear on what matters to you. What are the non-negotiables? What are you not willing to compromise anymore? And it's not because you're picky or rigid, but because you're just being honest. And that honesty can become clarity. And that's going to help you really recognize the right person when they do show up. Because they won't make you defend what you want. They'll just want it too. They won't make you convince them. They'll just see it. Okay? Now, the thing that made you feel the most alone in your last relationship will most likely be the thing that makes you feel the most understood in your next one. And the things that, felt like too much for the wrong person, they're perfect for the right one. And until that person shows up, I want you to get comfortable living life fully as the brightest, most raw, real expression of yourself. So love the beach or whatever your version of the beach is, and build the life that you want without apologizing for it. Because when the right person shows up, they won't make you choose between yourself and them. They'll just choose you, all of you, and love every single bit of it. All right. I love you, my brave hearts. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.